It says we're live. I'm hoping we're live.
Because that would be very unfortunate if we weren't.
Hey, everyone, and welcome to another episode of BFF.
Where we're your hosts.
I'm Joe.
And I'm Ashley.
And today we have a very fun romp of the 70s, an important movie called Blazing Saddles, and it's starring the fantastic...
Joe. We've been over this before. Just because like half the cast of Blazing Saddles is in the movie does not mean we're actually reviewing Blazing Saddles.
So,
no, we're not here to review Blazing Saddles, even though that's what Joe really, really wants to review.
I've wanted to watch this since we finished this movie yesterday.
Before we get into everything, let's welcome all of our lovely friends in the chat.
Cal was in the chat before I got into the chat. So welcome, Cal. And then we have Kimber and Morgan, and I know Randall's here. And that's it for now.
Awesome.
So, Kimber, oh snap, they're doing a bit.
A bit that I was not aware of, so...
That's the best kind of bit. We're live.
All right, so let's get into things.
So, we are, of course, doing... Or we only had 2 episodes for today's fan fiction.
2 movie choices.
2 movies. Sorry, it's been a long day. We had 2 movies for today's fan fiction that someone hadn't seen.
Yeah, so Joe had never seen Enchanted, which it was kind of like one of those things where he thought he saw part of it, right?
Yeah, well, like I'd seen bits and pieces. I am aware of that movie. I think I caught the end of it somewhere and that kind of stuff.
And I've seen the whole thing, but I kind of took that one off the table and was immediately drawn to Paper Moon.
As it is a film neither of us had seen. Welcome, Corey, by the way. Just saw that you popped in.
Yes, welcome to Corey. And again, thank you, everybody, for showing up. So yeah, Paper Moon, which has very interesting art style for its poster. You can kind of see some Art Deco influence. And then I love the little tagline that it has on the poster. As P.T. Barnum put it, there's a sucker born every minute, which kind of really encapsulates a lot of the themes of this movie.
Also, side note, isn't there like that Barnum and Bailey film coming out?
Yeah, like the greatest something.
Yeah, okay. Just
the greatest something.
Links. It's all a spider web of media information.
So. All right, so let's look at some of our characters in this lovely movie. First, we have Addie Loggins.
Not related to Kenny Loggins.
Really?
She does go into the danger zone, though.
A lot. She's played by Tatum O'Neal, who was 9 years old when she performed in this movie. And Addie has just lost her mother. And a very interesting man shows up at Mama's funeral.
Yeah, young Carrie Elwes.
Or, Ryan O'Neal, a.k.a. Moses Prey in this movie, who the family starts to notice, or whoever's left that's caring for this girl, like, oh, you look a lot alike. Are you her father? As apparently this girl has no father. And he just happens to be going to the same place that...
St. Louis or something?
Yeah, St. Joseph, Missouri.
Yeah, that's it.
So, or around that area. So he kind of gets conscripted into taking little Addie along with him. And let's talk about some other characters before we really get into the plot.
Side note, hey, Dub, welcome aboard.
Along the way on their kind of adventure to get to the home... a little while in the film, they meet Miss Trixie and the best character, Imogen, who is a maid for Miss Trixie, and she just has no chill, whatever. She's hilarious.
Miss Trixie, played by Madeline Kahn. Did that in a few minutes.
And then we had mentioned earlier about like half the cast of Blazing Saddles seems to be in this movie.
A one-off character, Floyd, the desk clerk, wants you to sing, was it?
The Camptown
Ladies.
And then nobody knew that song.
Yeah.
Wait, that's in Blazing Saddles.
Yes, I know, but it's the same actor.
Yes, and then we're like, oh my gosh, it's that guy. We got so excited, and he's just the best little one-off character in this movie. He's really smitten with Miss Trixie, and we'll talk a little bit about that later.
Now we have Howard Johnson. I'm sorry, Deputy Hardin.
Who also plays the bootlegger in the movie as well, but I couldn't find a picture of that character.
Wow. So they're the same actor, just like makeup and stuff?
Yeah, and like he lost weight or something. So yeah, this is a guy that's after Mose and Addie because they get into bootlegging. Their crimes just keep escalating.
Yeah. Things go from bad to worse.
All right, before we talk about some things we have some gripes with, let's check back in with the chat.
Dub has joined us. I think I already said hi. There's a lot of love for Paper Towns from Corey. Paper Moon, sorry. People were talking about Paper Towns as well. And Tom brought up apparently the town Paper Towns is set in is like 20 minutes away from them or something.
Oh, like nice. So, I don't know. You don't know? I thought that was in Florida.
I don't know these things.
I only read part of the book. This is actually based off of a book as well.
Morgan seems to bring up that paper is tastier than cheese.
I would not know, although...
I disagree. In theory, one of them is designed to be consumable and have a delicious taste. What?
I was just looking at Dove's comment. Floyd is what Deadshot should have looked like in Suicide Squad.
Anywho, with that little...
Anyway, so the basic plot of the movie before we get into the gripes is like they're together because he's supposed to take her to the town, but he's going to pawn her off on the train and go about his Bible selling business.
Well, he's going to pawn her off. You say pawn her off, but he's semi-responsible. He buys her ticket, sends money with her, even though he's supposed to send more money than that with her.
Yeah.
And sends a telegram. Is going to send a telegram ahead to the woman that's supposed to take her in to let her know to pick her up. So, I mean, it's something.
Yeah, but they end up getting together because she is like the best con artist ever.
So much better than him.
Yeah, like just kind of knows how to read the situations to see how much money she can get out of the people that he's grifting. And so they kind of go across the Midwest grifting together. But some of the gripes, to get back to that section... you had mentioned
like there's weird moments in this film that I can't tell if they're supposed to be comedic or tense. Like there is some tension here, but it's almost laughable. Like this is the scene where they're having lunch and she's got a Coney Island.
Yeah, which is a hot dog.
It's also a brand of hot dogs. It was interesting because like there wasn't really a lot of like sound accompaniment with this. Usually in these kinds of scenes there's some sort of ambient sound. It's not just music but something, and this scene just didn't. I don't know, there was this weird tension that didn't feel like it was actually tense. It's really hard to say. This scene was uncomfortable.
Yeah, I definitely felt uncomfortable during this scene as well, and especially because this is the early part of the movie where their like relationship isn't established. So I was worried that something could happen, especially with him not really being her father, even though it's highly speculated and suspect that he is. He definitely doesn't claim to be. This is where she's demanding of her $200 that he grifted out of somebody else because apparently he knows who basically hit her mom with a car and that's why her mom died.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm entitled to that money. And he's like, well, I already spent most of it. So they go on their little grifting adventure together in order to pay her back. But again, she's a way better con artist than him.
Totally. With
their little Bible selling scheme. One of the things that kind of made me uncomfortable in the movie that is like a minor gripe is like the fact that like she's like 9 years old but just like casually smoking cigarettes. I mean, and even he's uncomfortable with it too.
Yeah. I mean, it's set in the 30s and the whole cigarette thing was like in the 30s, of course. It wasn't until like the 50s or 60s that we started seeing that there were health benefits or health risks benefits. That's not even the right thing at all. That's not the right thing at all.
Like, and I know she wasn't really smoking cigarettes, in the behind the scenes. I think it was just like made to look that way, but still, it was just kind of creepy.
His only real concern with her smoking was A, wasting cigarettes, and B, burning down the room they were in. Because I think he even made mention of that.
Yeah, and there's like another little scene that's related to this one that was kind of funny where she like douses herself. I'm assuming it's her mother's perfume.
Yeah.
It's like way too much. And he has to like basically like open a window in the car.
Yeah.
Because it smells so much.
Too powerful.
But there wasn't really too many gripes that we had with the movie. It's pretty good.
It's overall pretty good movie.
Before we get to the likes, let's check back in with chat.
Apparently the moon's made of cheese. Kimber said she didn't watch the film, but Jonathan and Garrett did yesterday. Corey has something about like cotton candy. I don't know. It's not appropriate to the themes of this episode, Corey. I don't know what you're getting on about.
Dub was talking about someone's hat. I'm not sure if he meant Addie's or Moses.
Both are pretty awesome hats, though. Kimber was talking about how it was weird to see her smoking that cigarette, I would imagine.
Yeah, it was a little off-putting, and she often smokes in the movie. Before we get into the likes, the only other gripe that I had that you really couldn't represent with like a picture was the fact that the movie just felt like the pacing was off, and we had talked about that. Yeah, before.
We talked about it a lot, like
especially after
there's no consistency to the plot.
Well, especially, like, it felt like it was really tight when they were doing the whole, like, Bible grifting, but they run out of Bibles eventually. And then after that, it kind of felt like the pacing was a little off, especially when they get to the bootlegging portion of the adventure. It feels really weird.
There's this whole chunk in the middle with Madeline Kahn's character, Miss Tilly, I think.
Miss Trixie.
Funny. Where it's like, they're going on a weird vacation thing just out of nowhere, just suddenly like going on a vacation with this woman who is obviously a prostitute.
Yes.
And it's shenanigans from Addie and Imogene to get Trixie and Mose split up so they can so Imogene and Addie can go about their business doing whatever they want to do, because Imogene wants to go back home and Addie wants to finish grifting alone with Mose.
Yeah, because she can tell that Trixie is up to something.
Well, even if she's not up to something, she's just like wasting their time.
Yeah, and money as well.
Yeah,
so,
is how Addie sees it.
That's Addie's money.
Yeah.
Go back.
So we're going to talk about the likes now.
Yes.
No tip.
So like it starts off with this really cool like opening credits, and I always like it when movies take time for that. Hello, Tib. I really like the font choice and just the style of it. It really kind of took you back into that time period, which the 70s was a huge time for going back to the 30s and like looking at that in film, especially in television. They mostly went back to the 50s. Although this did get turned into a TV show, it didn't last very long.
I wrote dealt with a paper recently about this kind of stuff, and yeah, the 70s was a mixture of pre-World War II and the Vietnam War stuff.
All right, so just the establishing shot of the funeral. Like, I really liked this scene because you can kind of tell that, like, this little Addie is a free spirit, like her little dress and then her little socks and her shoes. And it's really funny when Mose shows up and, like, the thing that he says when they're burying his ex-girlfriend, basically, it's really inappropriate. Like, he's gonna miss her butt, basically, but he said it cruder. Yeah.
Mose is not a nice man.
No, you can definitely tell. He's a young con artist. And then when they're having their little, as the other side of she's trying to go along with him on his adventure, and he's just like upset that she's not eating her Coney Island, and like he feels that he's being bogged down by this kid, because any con artist is going to think like, oh, what's a kid going to do for me? But then she easily proves her worth later. But I just like the little relationship that they have and they build. And it doesn't ever feel like super creepy or anything between the two of them. I'm trying to sell some Bibles to somebody. I can't remember exactly which scene this is.
Yeah, which one of the 7. That was one thing as a gripe and a like. Like, it just got this weird number of times. They're like, let's go sell one of these fake Bibles again. Or these overpriced Bibles again. Let's sell another one. Let's sell another one. And it's just like, I could have done without like maybe one less scene of these.
Yeah, and so he would look in the newspaper at the obituary, show up at the widow's house, and say he would ask for the husband, and like, oh, I'm sorry, like he's passed on. It's like, well, I was just talking to him a month ago. And there's one time where they encounter one where like a different sheriff happens to be there, and Addie like keeps making it much like worse, but at the same time
gets away with it because she's a kid. And
yeah, it's just me and my little girl now, and she's like, oh, don't worry, Daddy, remember we gotta go to church. And you know, trying to ham it up. And I think this is actually the scene with the sheriff, thinking about it now, where it's like, oh, Daddy, like we can go, like don't worry. And then they end up like getting money for the Bible, and
more than he normally charges.
Yeah, like I think it's like $12, but he normally charges $8 or something. Then there's one time where she's like, oh, Daddy, don't you remember they paid ahead? Because this poor woman has like all these children in the house, and she's all alone with like 12 children. And he's like, what? Like, we're just giving it away. It's like, no, but she obviously has some empathy for the situation.
Yep.
Probably, you know, growing up with her own single mom, knowing how hard it could be with just one child. I can't imagine with 12 on the place. And then at one point, like they get mad at each other, and they're trying to find a train station to drop her off at, but they're like all out of the way. And
this is a really funny scene too, because she's like, well, there's that one. He's like, but I got to take you all the way through this town. Well, what about this one? I got to take you all the way through this town. And then it slowly devolves into a whole, well, we could stop and just sell some more Bibles
and
first anyway.
And this is where they've realized that they've almost run out of Bibles.
Yeah. And
then he gets mad. It's like, well, weren't you checking too? And so then they have to kind of switch their gears. But it's just the little story is, I was surprised at how cute like it was. And then of course this is Miss Trixie, and she's trying to coax Addie back in the car and says like, can't you just let me ride up in the front with my big boobs? But I think she says it a little more crudely.
She does, because it's Madeline Kahn and she can do that.
Yeah, but apparently she didn't want to say the line, and so
nice.
But yeah, she's just, and there's another cute little moment where I think it's the next one. Yeah, so like Imogene and Addie are conspiring together to break up
Trixie and Mose.
And at one point, Addie like tells Mose like Trixie's gonna rest, she's not feeling well, and he immediately wants to go and like check on her. Oh no, what's wrong with her? And it's like, oh, it's lady times. They basically say that. Like, I didn't think that they had that phrase back in the 30s, but it's definitely enough where he's like, oh, never mind, I don't need to go.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm just going to hang out here.
I also like when, I think this is the scene where they're sitting and talking after Mose actually goes up there, after they've sent Floyd, because the whole plan is they're going to send Floyd, they're going to trick Floyd and Miss Trixie into sleeping together, by telling Floyd that Miss Trixie is interested, and by telling Miss Trixie that Floyd's going to pay $25. So they're together, and then they're going to send Mose up to see her, and then and caught in the act, and Mose is like, no, I'm not going to do this. But then Imogene's like, nah, where I come from, if a man walks in on his woman and another man, you just go get the wood chip and axe and cut them both up. Yeah. And Addie's like, oh, we should stop them.
And then I think she's like, oh, but Mose would never do anything like that. And like she kind of plays it off. And we don't actually get to see like the whole thing unfold. We just see the aftermath of it, where like he's really mad and like we're going right now. And so I thought that they, you know, handled that narratively pretty well. And then the sheriffs.
Or the deputy or whatever.
Sheriff Hardin and the deputy.
Sheriff Howard Johnson.
This is a great part where they're like trying to find all this money they made from bootlegging, and they can't find it. They're dumping out all of like Addie's little case. And then there's like a cute moment where Addie is like pointing up to the hat that she's wearing, and I couldn't find the exact scene where she has all the dollars like you just wrapped around her little headband where they would never suspect it. And it's just like, man, she is a master con artist.
It's really good.
Too good. And then there's a little scene at the fair where she takes this picture, and she wants to take the picture with Mose, and he's acting a fool. So she takes the picture by herself, and like he eventually finds it when they're parting ways. Cause you know, eventually he has to take her back to her aunt's house, and it's kind of like one of those poignant moments where they're separated, and then eventually she like runs off to find him, and
he's
like,
turning around. He stops to find her too.
Yeah.
And forgets to put the truck in park.
And they're like chasing the truck. It was a very interesting ending. It was a cute little show. All right, before we get to rating time, let's check back in with our chat.
Jack's here.
Nice. Hi, Jack.
Welcome aboard. Oh, man, I gotta scroll up. There's so much. Cal says something about his bus driver used to give cigarette gum candy back in the day.
Yeah, we used to have candy cigarettes that were popular here.
And then now make candy. They should now make candy vape pens from Corey.
I'm surprised they haven't yet.
Corey suggests we check out House of Games if we enjoyed Paper Moon. We might do that now. Some shames. Jack's here. Everyone's saying hi to Jack. Corey's got a jet. But other than that, not a huge amount. So, yeah, I guess we're at rating time.
Yes, we are.
So, I'm going to give this about a 7.
Okay.
It's a good movie. It's fine. I feel as though the disjointed plot and the lack of idea on what kind of movie it wanted to be disrupted my enjoyment. It's not like it's a bad film as far as me enjoying it. Those were roadblocks to my issues. And then, having 3 actors that played relatively prominent roles in Blazing Saddles made me just start wanting to watch Blazing Saddles.
Oh, you can't fault the movie for that.
I can though, because if the movie's not good, if the movie's not necessarily good enough to make me want to focus on watching this movie and be like, I'll just watch Blazing Saddles later, then that's something else entirely. Like, it made me go like, I want to watch a better movie.
Yeah, I really liked the movie. So I would give it a 9 out of 10 just because the pacing issues, that always bothers me. I felt it ran a little long. And I know it's based off of a novel and they actually cut stuff out. There's supposed to be a whole scene where they like grift a millionaire or billionaire or something that they left out. But
that's the thing though. You talk about how it's disjointed. It's based off a novel and they have to cut things. The round that this should have been from had another film that is black and white, set in the Depression era, and features a prominent relationship between a father and daughter. To Kill a Mockingbird. We didn't really get to. For those that have watched the fan fiction today, there were technical difficulties, and we weren't able to do the episode as planned. We still did some fun stuff. We had a good time. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's here on the Tough channel. But the round, Team Tough chose To Kill a Mockingbird, and Team Molten chose Paper Moon. And the question was, which 2 characters in the film have a better father or daughter relationship? I don't know. Who do you think would have had a stronger advantage, possibly?
I think there's more in Paper Moon with the father and daughter side of it, because like a lot of To Kill a Mockingbird is like
Jim
there's not
Scout.
Like it's a lot of Jim and Scout or Atticus doing Atticus things. So there, I mean, with the scenes where it is like Atticus and Scout are really powerful, but so like who would be able to argue like the more powerful scene, the more close relationship, the more healthy relationship? Because definitely the To Kill a Mockingbird one is a more stable, healthy relationship.
Totally.
Both of the relationships don't have a true mother figure, although you could say Calpurnia is a mother figure to Scout, but that's more in the books versus the movie because she got the short shrift on that. Whereas Paper Moon, like you get to see like a whole arc of their character development.
Yeah.
And where To Kill a Mockingbird definitely has like very powerful scenes, like the one where Scout fights with little Walter at school, then she embarrasses him at lunch, and then she storms out, and Atticus has that wonderful little chat with her on the porch swing. Like that's one of the most powerful moments in that movie, of learning to walk inside someone else's shoes and see things through their point of view. Scene. So I think it would have been like a pretty even fight.
I agree. And Jack brings this up here is like Paper Moon was Jesse's pick. So how much her dad would have brought into the moon or into the choice could have made the difference, and that's true. And yes, Kimber brought up something I just noticed, and I'm going to bring it right back up for people. Yes. So To Kill a Mockingbird has a label in the corner that says not suitable for children.
I don't know why.
With 2 children on the cover.
Yes, I guess maybe they thought the whole courtroom drama aspect and the content would be too hot for the 60s.
It's got a murder. Yeah. It's got some pretty heavy material in it if you really stop and think about it.
Yeah.
A man with special needs kills a guy to protect some kids. It talks about rape. And
I mean, there's some pretty powerful things.
It's heavy material, but
the book is worse when like Jim is just casually explaining what it is, and it's like, Jim, I don't think we should be talking about this right now in front of your sister.
Jim, how the F do you know? It is something that we talked about last night watching. Is like To Kill a Mockingbird has very solid relationship, and definitely Atticus and Scout have a healthier relationship. Mm-hmm. But Paper Moon, you get to see their relationship grow, and they work really well together, and there's more direct interaction between the two of them.
And well, they are a real father and daughter in real life, so that adds probably to the performance a little. Although they did not get along very well and have had a tumultuous relationship,
they still did a really good job at that point, and they may have gotten along pretty well during the filming of the film.
Yeah, that I can't speak of, but and then I think it would have been a pretty even fight overall. I think I don't know what they would have said, but I would have been interested to see it play out. No, I'm totally sad. I'm sad that we didn't get to see that part, but I think it's actually a pretty evenly matched because you have 2 different types of father-daughter relationships represented. Even though the movies have a lot in common, like you said earlier. That's why when we get to the Twitter thing, I phrased the question I did. Like, it is a black and white movie about the Depression set, with a, centering around, relationships. And both of the girls in the movies are tomboys. Yep. Like, poor little Addie gets mistaken for a boy on more than one occasion. And Scout, like, they practically, like, look the same, except Scout has darker hair.
Yep.
That, they both wear overalls and little plaid shirts. And
Totally. So what's next on our Odyssey?
All right, now we're going to go ahead and look at Twitter. But before we do that, again, let's check back in with our chat, see what people are saying.
Jack's here catching up on stuff, talking about the the chalky candy cigarettes. People saying hi to each other. Jack preferred the gum, and then Jack made the comments that I mentioned earlier.
Okay.
And Kimber brought up the not suitable thing. So
yes. So our Twitter riddle.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of the word. So our last review of the season shares a lot in common with its competition, Mockingbird being its competition, BFF favorite false guess. Because, guys, everybody guesses To Kill a Mockingbird.
It's like every time we have one of these.
To Kill a Mockingbird is like...
You guys realize she teaches that, right? Like, she teaches that film.
Or the book, at least. So I always think it's funny when that comes up. You'll call us a pair of lunatics for being... more helpful than that as you journey to figure it out. I probably should have rephrased the bottom part of it. I guess no more helpful than that, because it's not really a helpful clue except for the fact that I told you what it's directly compared to. And then, of course, lunatics, Luna, moon, paper moon. And I also tried to find the closest font I could to the paper moon font, so this is as close as I could get because of all the blacked out words.
Yep.
And we had a lot of interesting guesses from Delisha. She guessed Gone with the Wind, although she says that either we've done this or you've seen it already. I've seen Gone with the Wind like one time that I remember.
I never have.
Future BFF, 12 hours later, because that movie is long. Janine guessed 12 Monkeys.
Fair.
Cal had guessed A Time to Kill. This was his second guess when I told him this first guess was wrong. Tom Zambino guessed A Few Good Men. Janine had another guess, Mockingjay, or another Hunger Games movie, because I told people the comparison was more basic. Brian gets John Wick. I don't know why, but I just thought that was hilarious.
Well, it's very tactical of him.
And then Kimber with her fake guess because she knew, so she guessed Benny and June.
I totally have not seen Benny and June.
I have not either, so we definitely need to fix that. And I love how the Twitter thought it was Estonian, I guess because of June. There was a pretty interesting, before we go on to the interesting theme, Langley was trying to put on his best professor hat and go, here's my thought process so far. Mockingbird competition, 1963 Oscars, Long Day Journeys into Night, Miracle Worker, The Longest Day, but then there's the lunatic thing. So
good parsing of the data there, Langley.
Yeah, even though it was a false guess, it was still pretty interesting. And then a fun theme that cropped up was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which was started by Sam. And I don't know if the thought logic on everyone's guesses, if they think that, if they think someone's right, then they just keep guessing the same thing because Nolan guessed that, Billy guessed that, and then that was Cal, or I put the wrong one on there, but he guessed it too. I just pulled the wrong thing.
Cal was the first one. But...
I pulled the wrong one. But yeah, that was it for the Twitter.
Yeah.
Lots of fun guesses. This is the first time nobody's figured out our clue, so I feel a little triumphant, honestly.
Well, and also when you pick a film like this is a little more obscure, it's going to be more challenging for people to just outright guess it correctly. Or they aren't reading people lunatics. Yeah, I'd imagine that would be the impetus of why people guessed One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is lunatics.
Yeah.
But what do I know? I'm just Joe.
I mean,
I'm just here.
But we did have a lot of good guesses.
We
did. It doesn't matter if you're right or wrong.
We're still on the list.
Yeah, and we are actually a little behind on sending out our giveaways.
The list.
Let's see. Number generator.
Hey, TJ. Welcome aboard, friend.
Right, so we had...
That's fair, Cal. And yeah, that's kind of why we guess sometimes people might guess the same one is they don't read them because they're busy or whatever.
All right, so I have 13 different entries. So even if you submitted more than one, your name is on here more than once. So I can probably, if I do the thing... do the screen share. I don't know how to do this.
We're still figuring it out, guys.
Deedly-dee. This is a song of when you're doing things.
Okay.
All right. So we are sharing the number generator is on 12 at default. So whoever's name shows up will be sent a choice of sticker, although I don't know if we have a whole lot of variety left. All right. So let's see who is number 11. All right, Cal is lucky number 11.
Lucky number 11. No, Cal, you will get your choice of sticker. We'll DM you about it in a little while. We talk. So.
But yeah, that's about it for all of us. Yeah, this is kind of a shorter episode.
Yeah.
Or I guess it's shorter. I don't know how long we've been going on.
It's about 30 minutes. Yeah. It's a little shorter than normal. It's one of those things where it's like we didn't really have a lot of negative things to say about this film. It was a solid movie. We talked about it. We dealt with the chat. There wasn't really a lot of talk about the fight, and that's probably what gave us a little extra time here. So, but that's okay because we have tickets to go see a movie about hope and justice. And
my cat almost bit me.
She doesn't like anyone messing with her paws.
Well, she doesn't need to be clawing the couch.
No, she doesn't, but she's crazy. Beatrice.
It's Beatrice.
Oh, Beatrice.
No.
So that's been our episode of BFF over Paper Moons.
Yeah, this will be the last episode for a while.
We do have something special that we're working on sometime in the next month or two.
Yeah. But for now, we're going to go on a hiatus because A, Joe has school, B, Fan Friction's also on hiatus, and we just kind of need a break to kind of like recharge our own batteries.
Yeah.
We might do occasional things over at our Geek to My Nerd channel, but don't be looking for regular episodes or backlogs, because
we need a break as well. We're gonna do our thing.
Yeah.
So we're going to throw out real quick some bumps. Cal brought up in the chat. We're going to be working with Cal here pretty soon for Get Psyched, which is a fun little visiting of Psych that we're going to do in preparation for the Psych movie coming out early December, I believe, right?
Yes. So I think it's next Thursday, the 30th. We are going to be doing a bunch of like talking about
top fives kind of
from Psych. And then once we have like the official channel link for that, we will get that out to everybody.
Start sharing it.
But yeah, we'll be there. Joining us besides Cal is our good friend
another Joe
Chindango, who we met in Philadelphia.
Yep, who we thought was a sandwich guy.
Yes, but he was not. He was just another cool person.
Just a random Joe.
So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. It's going to be fun. And then I forgot the exact date that we're doing the movie recap, but
I'm say it's the very next week.
Yeah, Cal has more of that.
He does. And if you follow us on Twitter, where I'm at Drake Masters,
and I'm at _Mrs. Davis,
or at Geek to My Nerd with underscores between each word, channel or Twitter accounts, you can get all of our updates there.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to the holiday season, and we look forward to when we can come back again. We're not totally going away, but don't look for regular BFF stuff, because it won't be here.
Nope. But yeah, keep an eye on our Twitter accounts, and maybe we'll give you guys some updates on when we're going to do some random fun stuff. And follow our Geek to My Nerd channel. I believe there is a link to some of our stuff in the Tough channel main thingy, so you can follow our channel there. And yeah. Thank you for joining us.
Bye.